Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to a new session. So, welcome. Hi. And we are back with a new session of NET. Okay. Ready? Are you all ready to revise a bit more? Yes. Okay. Yes. Good evening. Good evening. Hi. That's great. So if you're watching this video right now, then make sure that you subscribe our channel and also please like this video. Okay, right. So let me start by sharing the screen first. I believe the screen is clearly visible to you all. Yes, there we go. So let me welcome you all again to our session 18 of Vallath NET session. So, like yesterday, today also we will revise for the upcoming NET exam. Okay, right. So, please like the session and now let's get started. Here we go to the first question for tonight. Okay, here we go. Simulacra by Dash is the idea that modern society replaces reality with symbols and images or simulacra until these copies become more real than the original in a state called hyper reality. He argues that through media, consumerism, and other systems, we live in a simulation where we experience abstract representations as reality with no distinction between the two. So, who was that theorist who talked about these concepts of simulacra, hyper reality, simulation? Which theorist talks about these concepts? Which theorist talks about these concepts? It is Baudrillard. Very good. It is Jean Baudrillard who talked about this concept of the simulacra. Simulacra is the idea that our modern society is replacing a, a reality with symbols and images or simulacra until these copies become more real than the original in a state called hyper reality. Think about the virtual worlds that we're exploring, right? Yes, virtual realities. So Jean Baudrillard talked about it, right? Very good. Next. Middlemarch Dash is a novel by George Eliot, the pen name of Mary Ann Evans. Now the question is, what is the subtitle of Middlemarch? What is the subtitle of Middlemarch? Tell me. What is the subtitle of Middlemarch? Middlemarch by George Eliot. Yes, Middlemarch, a study of provincial life. Middlemarch, a study of provincial life. Can you tell me the subtitle of Oliver Twist? Tell me the subtitle of Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist, The Parish Boy's Progress. Oliver Twist, The Parish Boy's Progress. Okay? Yes. Yes, Oliver Twist is subtitled The Parish Boy's Progress. Can you tell me the subtitle of Jane Eyre? Jane Eyre is subtitled An Autobiography. Jane Eyre is subtitled An Autobiography. Okay? Right. Next. The sun came up upon the left. Out of the sea came he, and he shone bright, and on the right went down into the sea. These are lines from which work? The sun came up upon the left. The out of the sea came he, and he shone bright, and on the right went down into the sea. So these lines are talking about the sunrise and sunset. The sun came up, the sun came up upon the left. Out of the sea came he, and he shone bright, and on the right went down into the sea. These are lines from the rhyme of the ancient mariner. Coleridge's The Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Quotes from poems will be very, very important. Make sure you know the major primary texts really well. Okay, so these are lines from Coleridge's The Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. The Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Okay, got it? Very good. Allegories of Reading, 1979, which analyzes the tensions arising in figural language in Nietzsche, Rousseau, Rilke, and Proust, is a work by whom? Who wrote the book Allegories of Reading? Who wrote the book Allegories of Reading? It was published in 1979. 1979. Allegories of Reading, which analyzes the tensions arising in the figural language of authors like Nietzsche, Rousseau, Rilke, and Proust. Allegories of Reading is a work by Paul de Man. Paul de Man. Paul de Man belonged to the Yale School of Criticism. Yale School of Criticism. Who were the other members of this school? J. Hillis Miller, Paul de Man, Derrida's deconstruction inspired this school. Harold Bloom was also a member of this school. Harold Bloom. Okay, Paul de Man wrote works like Blindness and Insight, Allegories of Reading. Okay, Paul de Man, a very important figure. Right? Okay. So before we proceed, let me give you all a reminder, okay, that we have started our KVS, NVS, TGT, and PGT course. In this course, you will get classes thrice in a week, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, if you want to enroll, you can join now. I know many of you will be appearing for this exam, right? KVS, NVS, TGT, and PGT. So this course will really help you to prepare for this exam in a very structured, ordered way. It will actually make you, prepared to ace this exam so that you can get that job. Right? Yes. Okay. Right. Let's move on to the next question. Yeah. Okay. Rajmohan's Wife is the debut novella of the Indian writer Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. The English language novella, claimed by many to be the very first Indian novella, was published by a lesser known periodical named Indian Field, edited by Kishori Chand Mitra. True or false? Here, actually, I have given you very minute details about this work. Rajmohan's Wife by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. Is it the first Indian novella in English? Was it published in the periodical called Indian Field? And was it edited by Kishori Chand Mitra? Are all the facts stated here true? Is everything here true about Bankim Chandra Chatterjee's Rajmohan's Wife? Yes, absolutely true. Rajmohan's Wife by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee was indeed India's first novella in English. It was published in a periodical called Indian Field, and it was edited by Kishori Chand Mitra. Kishori Chand Mitra. Okay, right. Who coined the term interpretive communities? Who coined the term interpretive communities? He was a reader, a response critique. He also wrote the book Surprised by Sin, The Reader in Paradise Lost. So, who is it who coined the term interpretive communities? Interpretive communities. It's a term from a reader, a response criticism. Yes, correct. This term was coined by the writer who wrote, "Is there a text in this class? Is there a text in this class?" It is indeed by Stanley Fish. Stanley Fish. Do you know the other reader response critics? David Bleich, Norman Holland, Louise Rosenblatt, Hans Robert Joss, and Stanley Fish. Hans Robert Joss and Stanley Fish had started the reception theory of Hans Robert Joss and Stanley Fish. Okay, right. So interpretive communities, this phrase was coined by Stanley Fish. Stanley Fish. Television Culture by John Fiske was published in which year? Television Culture by John Fiske. If you have gone through your NET PYQs, you must have noticed that they will ask you chronology of cultural studies. They will ask you chronology from cultural studies. So you cannot avoid these writers from cultural studies. You have to learn about them, their works, the years. John Fiske was a major scholar from cultural studies. John Fiske was a major scholar from cultural studies. His work, Television Culture, was published in 1987. 1987. Please note down these names. Note down this name of John Fiske and learn about his works. Okay? John Fiske is a very, very, very important name from cultural studies. He was a very popular name from television studies, television, which forms a very major area from cultural studies. And his work, Television Culture, was published in 1987. 1987. Okay, right. Next. My Story is an autobiographical work by Dash. This book was originally published in Malayalam, titled Ente Katha. Who wrote this autobiographical work, My Story? This book was originally published in Malayalam, titled Ente Katha. So, who wrote this autobiography called My Story? My Story is an autobiography by Kamla Das. Kamla Das. This book was originally in Malayalam, titled Ente Katha. Ente Katha. Please make a list of major autobiographies of Indian writers. Major autobiographical works of Indian writers like Knife by Salman Rushdie, The Autobiography of an Unknown Indian by Niraj C. Chaudhary, Prison and the Chocolate Cake by Nayantara Sehgal, The Prison and the Chocolate Cake by Nayantara Sehgal, The Story of My Experiments with Truth by Gandhi, Nehru's autobiography is important. Then Mulk Raj Anand's autobiographies are important. Tagore's autobiography, Tagore. Okay, all these autobiographies are important, right? Okay. The Vision of Judgment is a satirical poem in Ottawa Rima by Dash, which depicts a dispute in heaven over the fate of George III's soul. Very popular work. Actually, Sade had written a work praising George III after his death. And in response to that, this poet wrote The Vision of Judgment. The Vision of Judgment. It's a satirical poem in Ottawa Rima by Byron. Byron wrote this in response to Sade. Okay, The Vision of Judgment is a satirical poem in Ottawa Rima by Byron, and it depicts a dispute in heaven over the fate of George III's soul. Okay, right. Next. British Marxist E.P. Thompson fiercely criticized Louis Althusser in his book Dash. Thompson attacked Althusser's structuralist Marxism, particularly his theories on history, agency, and the base superstructure relationship, arguing that Althusser was overly abstract and de-emphasized lived human experience and historical process. So E.P. Thompson attacked Louis Althusser in which book? Louis Althusser was attacked in which book of E.P. Thompson? Louis Althusser was attacked in which book of Louis Althusser? Louis Althusser was attacked in which book of E.P. Thompson? It is The Poverty of Theory. The Poverty of Theory. Okay. So British Marxist E.P. Thompson fiercely criticized Louis Althusser in his book The Poverty of Theory. Thompson attacked Althusser's structuralist Marxism and particularly his theories on history, agency, and the base superstructure relationship. And he argued that Louis Althusser was overly abstract and he de-emphasized lived experiences and historical process. So please remember, Louis Althusser was attacked in the book The Poverty of Theory by E.P. Thompson. Louis Althusser was attacked in the book The Poverty of Theory by E.P. Thompson. Clear? I hope it's clear to you all. Yes. Louis Althusser was attacked in the book The Poverty of Theory by E.P. Thompson. Right. Okay. Black Feminist Criticism, Perspectives on Black Women Writers is a work by tell me fast, you know this. Black Feminist Criticism, Perspectives on Black Women Writers. Very familiar writer to you all. Who wrote this work? Black Feminist Criticism, Perspectives on Black Women Writers. It is by Barbara Christian. Barbara Christian wrote Black Feminist Criticism. Black Feminist Criticism. Okay? Right. Narrative theory of Dash, also known as the theory of equilibrium, describes a 5-stage structure that many linear stories follow. But first you have equilibrium, then a disruption, then a recognition of the disruption, a repair of the damage. There is a repair of the disruption and a new equilibrium is established by the end of the story. So we see that the story begins in a state of balance, which is then broken by an event. The characters then must work to fix the problem, leading to a final state of balance, although it may be different from the original. So, this is known as the theory of equilibrium. Who propounded this theory of equilibrium? Who propounded this theory of equilibrium? It is Todorov. Todorov propounded this narrative theory of equilibrium. Todorov propounded this narrative theory of equilibrium, which describes a five-stage structure that many linear stories follow, where you first have equilibrium, then a disruption happens, then the characters will recognize that disruption. They will work to fix the problem, and then a new equilibrium will be restored. This is called theory of equilibrium by Todorov. Todorov was a major figure from structuralism. Todorov was a major figure from structuralism. Okay, right. Next, the elementary structures of kinship by Dash lays down the theory how societies transition from nature to culture through the reciprocal exchange of women in marriage, a system governed by the incest taboo. Very, very, very important work by the structural anthropologist whom? Who wrote this work? The elementary structures of kinship. This work is by the structural anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss. Claude Lévi-Strauss. The elementary structures of kinship. It's a work by the structural anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss, and this work lays down the theory how societies transition from nature to culture through the reciprocal exchange of women in marriage, a system governed by the incest taboo. Okay, right. So, guys, that's all from our side for tonight. I really hope these sessions are helping you. Yes. And you can join our KVS, NVS, TGT, PGT course. I tried to bring some very important questions from NET perspective, be it on theory or Indian literature or British. Okay. Tomorrow also, I will see you exactly at 9 p.m. at our Vallath YouTube channel. And we'll bring some more questions. We will revise a bit more tomorrow. Please note down the names of these theorists, be it John Fiske or Todorov. Read more about them. Okay, and obviously you will get jealous. Yes? Do you agree with me on that? Great. So see you all again tomorrow at 9 p.m. Till then, keep studying, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Okay, bye. Good night. And do like the session, please. And don't forget to join me tomorrow at 9. Okay, bye.